Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank you for coming here today. So now I'm gonna be introducing my company, PVSB. As you can see, achieving customer satisfaction is our top priority. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank you for coming here today. So now I'm going to be introducing my company, PVSB. Now let's move on to the first slide. Semi Benden Petroleum Investment Joint Stock Company, PVSB, is a company founded by Vietnam Oil and Gas Group, Petrovietnam, and strategic shareholders on April 24th, 2007. PVSB now is one of divisions of Petro-Vietnam Technical Services Corporation, PTSC. The initial charter capital is 500 billion Vietnam dong. Moving on to the next slide, which is about company details. Our head office is at 65A3 30 tháng 4 Street, Thang Nhất Ward, Vũng Tàu City. Telephone 0254 362 8188. Fax 0254 362 8189. Email samabinden at pvsb.com.vn. Our website is www.pvsb.com.vn. Our factory and fabrication location is at Ward 6, Ward 9, Thang Nhất Ward, Vũng Tàu City, Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu Province, Southern Vietnam. Now let's move on to the next slide, where I'm going to be talking about business lines of PVSB. 1. Exploiting and operating Sao Benden Port Complex and Economic Zone, which is 163 hectares. 2. Construction of various type of houses, apartment, and building. 3. Construction of petrochemical units and pipelines. 4. Civil construction. 5. Fabrication yard for oil and gas industry. 6. Ship repair and shipbuilding. 7. Shipping agency service. 8. Rental of vehicle and storage. And last but not least, procurement and forwarding, etc. Now, let's move on to the next slide, which is about organization chart of PVSB. Organization chart of PVSB. So, the first thing you can see is the board of supervision, board of supervision, which includes three groups. The top one is shareholder assembly. Shareholder assembly is responsible for strategic management of the entire company. The second one is board of directors, responsible for general management of the whole of the entire company. And then the directorate, which is responsible for mm, specific um, and then directorate, which is responsible for the execution of specific disciplines. So these are different boards or different disciplines of our company. Number one, administrative and personnel department. Administrative and personnel department, which is responsible for employees allowances and employees payrolls and labor contracts. And the next one is the finance and accounting department, responsible for money flow, revenue, and expenses of the entire company. And the next one is economics and planning department. Economics and planning department is responsible for long-term business planning of the whole of the entire company. Investment and construction department is responsible for investments and construction related projects. Project management boards are responsible for planning, execution, and completion of specific projects. And last but not least, construction and service team, which I am working as the head. Construction and service team is responsible for construction, uh, construction work and providing services on site. Thank you. Now let's move on to the next slide. Summary of financial information for the last 3 years. Summary of financial information for the last 3 years. Fiscal year 2019, year 2020, year 2021. Information from the balance sheet. Total asset, liabilities, net worth, current asset, current liabilities, working capital, total revenue, total profit before tax, total profit after tax. Information from business report. Well, even though we had to suffer lots of difficulties because of the COVID 19, but we still maintain a total revenue of over 177 billion dong in the year 2021, which is very impressive. Well, I think that's it. Thank you so much for listening. Can you tell us what your company specializes in? Can you tell us the business lives of PVSB? Do you exploit and operate a port complex and economic zone? How long have you been exploiting and operating Shamai Binden Port Complex and Economic Zone? How large is the port complex and economic zone? Well, it's 163 hectares. Do you specialize in construction of houses? Does PVSB specialize in construction of petrochemical units and pipelines? Do you construct petrochemical units? Do you construct pipelines? Do you specialize in civil construction? Do you have a fabrication yard? Do you participate in ship repair and shipbuilding industry? What is the shareholder assembly responsible for? What is the board of directors responsible for? What is the directorate responsible for? The shareholder assembly is responsible for strategic management of the entire company. The board of directors is responsible for general management of all activities of the company. The directorate is responsible for the execution of specific disciplines. What is the administrative and personnel department responsible for? The administrative and personnel department is responsible for labor contracts, employees allowances, and employees payrolls. What is the finance and accounting department responsible for? The finance and accounting department is responsible for money flow, revenue, and expenses of the entire company. What is the economics and planning department responsible for? The economics and planning department is responsible for long-term business planning and contract management. What is the investment and construction department responsible for? The investment and construction department is responsible for investments and construction related projects of the entire company. What is the project management boards? What are project management boards responsible for? Project management boards are responsible for planning, execution, and completion of specific projects. What is the construction and service team responsible for? The construction and service team is responsible for construction work and providing services on site. Sau đây là một số từ khó phát âm. Administrative, 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 administrative. Allowances, 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 allowances. Revenue, 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 revenue. Expenses, 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 expenses. Related, related. Execution, 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 execution. Completion, completion, completion.